Hello, my name is Jana Skokan. I'm the co-founder of Frogeex. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining our Frogeex YouTube channel today. If you like the content that we're sharing and the ideas that we're discussing, please like it, comment on it, and share it. And most importantly, come and join us on our live events. You have the opportunity to discuss with experts, exchange with like-minded people, and expand your perspectives all around topics related to sustainable building, sustainable living. And I also want to encourage you to click the little notification bell, subscribe to our channel, and never ever miss another episode of Frogeex Green Tech Talks in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.
Thank you so much, everybody. And nice to see you also, Giulio, for joining the Frogeex Green Tech Talk today on the topic of new building materials. It's a great pleasure to welcome the speakers of today that are with us. And I will start basically with Natalia. Natalia is a forest engineer for more than 15 years working with bamboo, including research, technical training, and also educating farmers, professionals, also working with researchers, and even policymakers on application of bamboo or, properties of bamboo and specific utilization of this material. So thanks a lot, Natalia Retagui, hopefully I pronounced it correctly, for joining us.
Thank you very much, and hello to everyone. Thank you very much for coming today. And yeah, I hope that this presentation is useful for you. It's mainly an introduction for beginners also about the bamboo plants. I am a forest engineer, like Jana said. I am Peruvian, but now I'm living in Germany for about a year approximately. And well, this is a little bit things that I learned about bamboo in the last 15 years, and I would keep it really simple and very quick. No. First of all, it's maybe you saw already this distribution map. Bamboo are mainly a group of plants, are grasses that are distributed among the tropics and subtropics of the world. Almost every continent have native bamboos except Europe and Antarctica. Until the year 2016, there were 1,600 species, but up to now, we are about a little bit more than 1,700 species. This is because every year more and more species are described, because there's a very, very big knowledge gap of new bamboos, especially in the Americas. So as you see here, these 1,700 species are between woody bamboos, which are the ones that are more of the economic species that we use, and herbaceous bamboos, which are very, very small bamboos that are inside the forests. As you can see, they take very different forms, from very small ones, from a little bit more than 1 millimeter of diameter, to bamboos that have more than 20 centimeters diameter. No? So they are really, really very versatile in their forms. How to identify bamboo? This is very difficult, I would say, because bamboos as grasses that stay in the forest, normally grasses found their own ecosystems, no, the grasslands that are known now as grasslands. Bamboos are the only grasses that stayed inside the forest. So they had to develop new effective ways to reproduce with success. So normally botanists rely on flowering, but the problem with bamboos is that they have sometimes very long cycles of flowering, sometimes more than 100 years. So we have to rely in all the vegetative parts of the plants. We call vegetative plants parts the culms, which are the stems, the internodes, the length of the internodes, the form of the nodes, branches, leaves, culm leaves, etc. Why is this important? Why do we have to actually identify bamboos? Because if we go to the construction parts, the mechanical properties change among the different species. No? As I put here, 4 species that are have a lot of importance for the construction field. So as you can see, they have different mechanical or different numbers in the model of elasticity, as well as in other mechanical properties. And even among the same individual, the properties also change, because the longitude of the fibers change along the individual. No? And I want to put just one case. This is a species, these 2 species, Guadua angustifolia and Guadua takahashiae. These 2 species were used to build the construction norms with bamboo in Colombia and Peru. But there's a problem with this Guadua takahashiae, which has the interrogation mark, because in the norm it was named Guadua angustifolia. And what happened with this? Why is this a challenge or a problem in the normative? Because everyone was selling and constructing with Guadua angustifolia in Peru. But as you can see, they are different. Guadua angustifolia is has a straight column, the straight stem, no? Guadua takahashiae, on the other part, it has like a zigzag form. And also, we used, the botanist used all the other vegetative features that I showed you before to determine that actually it was not Guadua angustifolia. What happened? What is the problem? If you are a buyer, if you want raw material and you are buying Guadua from Peru, and you are sold this Guadua angustifolia, then you would get a shipment of bamboos that are not straight. No, if you have a laminate, or you want to make laminated products, then you will have a product that won't fit your needs. No, this is one of the most important parts, or it's very, very important to identify correctly the species that we're using for the different uses that we have. So every bamboo have their own use. Every bamboo, there are more than 2,000 uses in bamboos, but not all the species are suitable for all the uses. And these are some of the insights that I wanted to share with you. I think that the time is also very short. So if you want to ask me some questions, I'm very happy to answer them. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Was perfect with the timing. The questions, if anybody would like to have a question regarding properties or whatever details on Natalia's presentation, please use the reaction button. I see we have some comments popping up. So with this, I would move to the second speaker of today, to Professor Shruti Shah. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to give a quick intro in between. If you like to share your screen or presentation. Shruti is the principal of Vayadiyar Center of Architecture in Mysore. Her practice involves designing environments and teaching architecture and design. She has been also awarded with the Fiber Award in France in the year 2021. She has been also educating on other universities outside of India, in Europe and the USA. And she is also educating and exploring the opportunities with new and alternative materials and fibers like cord or banana. So Shruti, with this, I would hand over to you, if you would like to take on the lead.
Thank you very much, Yana, and everybody part of the Frogeex, and everybody who's present here. Thank you, Natalia, for your previous presentation. The most difficult task for the evening was when Yana told us that we should, talk about this in 5 to 6 slides. So yes, that was the most difficult. Otherwise, bamboo and talking about bamboo can be a night-long session and even more. I'm going to quickly start here by saying that I'm going to talk about my experience as how I have used bamboo and green fibers as a part of both my teaching as well as in my practice. And I come from India, and that part of India where there are many other fibers that are available to us. To name a few, we have the coconut fiber, we have banana fiber, we have sugarcane fiber, we have seaweeds. India is a large country, and we have a biodiversity which is really immense, and that allows us to use fibers. Unfortunately, since a lot of locals were already using them, we already have a legacy of people having used these fibers earlier. Now it becomes even more important is when we realize that these were fibers that were laid off during the Industrial Revolution. So here is a picture of one of the largest dams that were being built in India along the river Krishna. It is the Nagarjuna Sagar Dam. And this mammoth structure, which is going to be taking immense pressure force, and which is going to be there for a lot many years to come, was built on the structure of by using bamboo. So I thought this was a paradox, and it's a wonderful picture to share of the silent contribution of bamboo that it does. I'm going to be a little poetic, because I, as an architect, also feel that it's not it may not to in order to use this material, it may not just be enough to know its physical properties. It's also to actually fall in love with this material to be able to do that. I'm going to quickly share with you one of the project, since we have some limitation on time. It's the pavilion that we did with students of architecture. This is the kind of structure that we did. And if one has to just see a drawing, one could, look at it as, see it as a very contemporary structure. You could even replace it by steel. So I think this time that I want to present, I want to talk about the changing aesthetics that have come into our world of the built structure. The Industrial Revolution and industrialized materials have completely changed our aesthetics, and therefore for us to not accept and not take up certain materials is also a hindrance. And I think it's important as educators to bring in this possibility of how we introduce appropriate materials, appropriating them with the context, the region, the climate, the skills. So therefore, I often say that sustainability there is no one single definition to sustainability, but sustainability is a perspective. And it's a perspective that is so fluid that you could develop this across different regions and have many, many perspectives to it. So it would mean that how prudent we are in using our resources. And our resources range from the legacy of knowledge, which I call crafts, to the earth, the ground, to material, to context, to the entire environment or the biodiversity around you. So all of these are our resources, including the knowledge bank that we have. And I think being prudent to use that is one of the perspectives of sustainability. So here we are introducing this idea of understanding with students the building of this pavilion. This pavilion was built with bamboos that we got from Assam, not appropriate for sure with the climate of Ahmedabad, which is hot and dry. And so I will quickly, the entire structure was done on our school campus, a college campus. Here are students of the first year building it up carefully, learning to do that. For those from the other countries would understand that our methods, our tools of doing are yet not so mechanized. And so you would see that, the kind of the whole making process involves a lot of on the site jigs or patterns or solutions that we derive from the site. Yes. These were some of the joineries that the students learned from the craftsmen. So the craftsmen were also part of this whole process, who came here, who taught them and went away and then looked from a distance at the kind of creation that these students did. So I'm just concluding, I want to also tell you that a big shift is required in the aesthetics of the built environment, and which can only start in education of both design and architecture, and how beautifully and how well we kind of make it a part of our built environment, will we be able to see this whole change. So with this, I would say this is a 9 meter by 12 meter by 9 meter pavilion that stands tall there, and it has a corrugated metal sheet as its roof, which is a very contemporary material. We have not used bundles of hay, which is generally associated with bamboo in a country like ours. Generally, it's associated as a material that only a poor man uses. But we went ahead to use a corrugated sheet. And yes, I will run the whole video of how this was made. And yeah, we're very glad that this particular project also won the FIBRA award. And with this, I would just want to end the presentation saying that there are two things that we take away for working in a country or a region like ours, that we have many fibers offered. We are already working on sugarcane fibers and banana fibers. They are already used in textiles, in making of boards, in many other products, and including boats and caracals. They are called these round boats, fishermen boats, that are used, which are about 1.75 meter diameter. And yeah, so these are the kind of things that are already there, and we are hoping that a lot more fibers across the country come across. Thank you very much. I hand over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shruti, for this fly through the basics of what your projects are impacting India. So thank you so much. With this, I would hand over to Fred. Fred, if you are with us, to go into the commercialization of bamboo and the challenges in Africa, working with it in Africa particularly.
So I work with bamboo growers and producers all over the world, many projects in Africa. And so I encounter lots of challenges and obstacles with bamboo production and development there. It's a really interesting area. And so I want to talk about some of those challenges and how they're related to construction and the monetization of bamboo. So Africa actually has about 6 million hectares of bamboo, which is about 1/6 of the global supply of bamboo. So there's an enormous potential there to be using bamboo, and yet it's very underutilized. You don't see nearly as many bamboo projects, bamboo construction projects happening in Africa the way you do in India or Indonesia or other parts of the world. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of machinery and lack of investment and infrastructure. And so instead of having highly produced processed bamboo products. They really just have lots and lots of bamboo poles, which are hard to work with, harder to sell, harder to transport. And it really limits what can be done with the bamboo. But as we've seen elsewhere, there is quite a lot that can be done just with bamboo poles. On the previous presentation, as well as these pictures. These are in, I think this is the Green School in Indonesia, where they do the traditional or rustic or pole-to-pole construction with bamboo, which could be done much more in Africa, but it's not widely seen. And there's some interesting reasons why that is. Where bamboo just isn't valued and recognized and quite as well understood in Africa, it seems like, and so it doesn't have such a high reputation, and therefore it's not being used to its full potential. And so some of the issues with construction in Africa with bamboo are because it's not well understood. They often don't choose the best poles, poor pole selection, or they're using the wrong part of the pole. It's very important to choose the premium poles and to use the best part of the pole, the bottom part of the pole, where it's much stronger than it is towards the top of the pole or the middle of the pole. Also, because they're not using it as much, the forests aren't as well managed. And because the bamboo forests aren't well managed, they're not producing healthy bamboo poles, which makes it more difficult to work with it. Also, they're not familiar with many of the preservation methods that are used in India and Indonesia and other areas where they have a greater, longer tradition of bamboo construction. And also the designs of the bamboo construction, often they don't take into account the need to have it covered over the roof to protect the bamboo from getting wet when it rains. And therefore the structures don't last as long, and so bamboo develops a reputation as being a non-durable, short-term building material, not something that can be used for very durable, long-lasting structures. And finally, an issue that's common throughout the world is the lack of building standards around bamboo. And without building standards, it just makes it more difficult to be working with this material. And so there's a perception that bamboo is the poor man's timber, and this is something we see throughout many parts of the world, where bamboo is considered, just something that grows wild in the forest, and it's just something that poor people use to build their huts, and anyone who can afford to would use something else like steel or concrete, and so they sort of look down on bamboo. So it has a lower reputation. And also because of the lack of skills with bamboo, they don't have necessarily the same skill set that people in Indonesia or Southeast Asia who've been working with bamboo for a long time and understand the different joineries and different techniques. It makes it hard to construct a really high quality, long lasting structures. And then also the governments aren't supporting bamboo to the extent that they should, although we're seeing some of that change and improve, and awareness is growing and there's increasing support for bamboo, but it's something that we definitely need to see more of to get people using bamboo at a greater rate, and just to make use of it and use it to its full potential. So some of the things that can be done to improve that just raising awareness and education about the uses of bamboo, the benefits of it as a building material, as well as a crop, how it can benefit the land, preventing erosion and capturing carbon, etc. And when more bamboo is used in these traditional non-industrial methods, then as the awareness increases and the use of bamboo increases, that would pave the way to using bamboo more for other products as well, and bring more industrialization and processing for bamboo so that they can be making more rather than simply just the bamboo poles. The pole-to-pole construction, we could see it going to the next level with more engineered bamboo, the laminated slats and boards and panels, which are great in modern building and modern architecture. So that's something that also adds to the value of the bamboo and makes it more interesting as a crop for farmers. And so as that happens, I expect to see bamboo becoming much more widely used in Africa, and more competitive with Asian bamboo, especially considering the long distances that bamboo has to travel from Asia to the West, especially between Europe and Africa. The potential there to do business is tremendous. Instead of shipping bamboo from China or Indonesia to get it to Europe, it'd be great if we could be shipping it between Asia to Europe, shorter distances, smaller carbon footprints, and that's something I'd like to see more of. So that's a quick 5-minute, I hope, glimpse at some of the potential and challenges of bamboo in Africa. And you can reach me here at my website. I'm always happy to talk more about bamboo and connect with other bamboo growers and producers. And I hope you found that interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fred, for your presentation. Amazing intro into the topic. So with this, I would basically go into the Q&A part, and let's start with the first question. Would there be anybody in the room that has the first question ready to present? Don't be shy.
Yes, hello, Pavel here.
Hello,
do you
Pavel.
hear me? Yes, sorry, I have some issues with my connection, but hopefully I resolved it. I have just a really quick question. I was wondering if there is a possibility to use bamboo, let's say bamboo itself, instead of plastic pipes, using in the hydroponic systems. There is a continuous water flow or continuous flow of fluid. It means it's a water with nutrients. And I'm wondering if maybe it's possible to switch from plastic pipes to bamboos. How could it influence the water itself or this mixture itself? And what could this mixture cause to this bamboo? You know, if it's even possible, or maybe, you know.
Thank you so much for the question. I see Natalia is already raising the hand, so please.
You mean to use the bamboo as a container, right? Not
like a piping where
like the piping system.
Yes,
well,
yes.
Piping systems are used with bamboo piping systems are used for water in Colombia, and they work quite well. The problem is that, as any organic material, it rots after a couple of years. No, so you would have to take this into account. If you have the material near you, which could reduce the costs of installation of a hydroponic system, maybe it's worth it, because you don't have to go and buy the material itself. But if you have to buy it anyway, you have to take into account in your total cost that you have to change it after maybe between 5 or 10 years for sure. And about changing the quality of the soil solution, no, it's just, it doesn't change. I mean, it doesn't filter itself.
No, okay. Oh, this is fine. This was just my question, if it's possible to use, and if there is, let's say, the length of the usage is in years, then could be fine. But anyway, I don't have a bamboo planting here, so in Slovakia.
Or around, because they use it as a piping system in Colombia, because they have a lot of it in their fields and everything, so it's quite cheap, no? But
okay.
So
okay, thank you, Natalia. Thank you very much.
Shruti has also something to say.
Yeah, I'm not an expert with reference to its, how the properties of how it could be engineered, but I think it's a brilliant idea to think that it's a linear material. It's got cavity inside, and as a design application, it seems very appropriate. And I have experimented where, you know, if we heated up a particular rod and you try and pierce it through bamboo, you get a very clean hole as good as something that you would do with a drill bit. So we've also experimented that if the particular metal rod has certain kind of profile, you can get exactly the same profile punched into the bamboo. So maybe when it comes to creating a continuous cavity in bamboo, I'm sure in Colombia they would have worked out some system by which they could, drill a hole right through the length of the pipe. But I think it's also the water quality, that if you are looking at water quality, which is constantly varying in different regions, so salinity, salt levels and all that would change. But if there is a process of a very fine layering that remains constant, whereas, the other, I mean, you can't get rid of plastic probably completely, but if it is reduced to maybe even a larger extent because of the varying, quality of water, I'm sure.
Yep.
It's a lovely thought, I thought, as a design application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Also for the question, super interesting and always exciting to hear that, there are alternatives, as what Natalia mentioned, that are being used somewhere already. It's just kind of, refreshing it. And as we know, and Fred is, the one of the first one that knows about this, in terms of working with new projects on bamboo, there is also, and one of the topics that we also exchange is new markets for bamboo. So maybe a question to you, because I received also some question ahead of this call, so we can just basically go through them, and also welcome everybody, to use the chat function or the reaction button for questions. So one of them is basically also around the structures that are being built with bamboo. Fred has shown them, Shruti has shown them the buildings which are complete built out of bamboo. What does it need as a treatment method? So bamboo is really resistant to the elements for decades, basically, and can be long-term, or that we can basically build also these buildings that last longer terms and decades. I'm not quite sure who would like to comment on this first. Shruti, I believe it's it's either with you or with Natalia. I would see in terms of application.
Excuse me, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand.
So when building bamboo structures for complete buildings, what does it need as treatment method to make it resistant to the elements, to the weather? Also, we have people that do structures buildings with them. What does it need as a treatment to be protected against water, heat, and wind, etc., to make it durable?
I am not an architect, but as my colleagues or my teammates, so to say, they say always that bamboo, if you are constructing with poles, especially, bamboos always need a good hat and good shoes. No, so it needs to be protected from the sun and from the soil. No, that's the first thing, and of course preservation, in order to I mean, if you're going to make a house or a construction that is going to be permanent, it has to be preserved. Normally, what they use in my experience, what I have seen, what they use is borax and boric acid, no? By immersion mainly, because it's cheaper than other methods. But I am not an architect. Maybe Shruti or Fred have another experiences or can like add more a little bit from what I've said.
Yeah, I understand it's the same thing. The boric acid or borax treatment is the most common to preserve it and protect it from the weather and from pests and insects and parasites and things. There's also a treatment with heat where they can kind of cook the bamboo poles and they get like super hard, like steel, and it really protects it both from insects and from the weather. That seems to be really effective. But I think even if you do that, I think the borax treatment is still important. Definitely for shipping, that's something we encounter a lot, is people shipping their bamboo, and treatment is really essential just for the shipping to protect it while it's in transit from insects and from other from the elements, from the weather. You have anything to add, Shruti?
Yeah, it's the same system that we use here, borax. And but earlier there a lot of local people used to prepare a certain kind of wax, and like you said, the two ends have to be sealed. So this wax was some kind of gum from the tree, and then they heat it up and mix it up with a certain kind of, and it's still used in certain regions of Assam and all. But I think it's also important to change our perspective of looking at bamboo, and to assume, yes, it's got the strength of a steel, but you have to accept that it's a natural material, and it will there is a certain kind of life to it, and I think consider it as beauty, and I think that's there. But yeah, both these things, that the two ends are very important, and you protect the ends, and the bamboo is saved. Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering this question. Let's move to the next one. So we have also a little bit like an international round over here today. So Fred Hornaday is based in Spain, Natalia originally from Peru, now in Germany, and Shruti based in India, also very internationally on the way. We have also quite some people from Africa and from all over the world, from Brazil, etc. So the question is also, I welcome perspectives from all our speakers today, is around the markets that we see are emerging, the established markets that we know right now or already for bamboo, and the new markets. What are the like challenges and opportunities that you see on this? And yeah, I welcome everybody. Maybe we can start with Fred, if you like to take the lead on this, Fred.
Speaking about the potential for markets, you said, so yeah, it's definitely very interesting right now. The interest in bamboo has never been greater, and there's at the same time, for the last 20 or 30 years, China has just completely dominated the bamboo industry as far as any kind of products, from bamboo flooring to bamboo utensils to bamboo toothbrushes, anything bamboo. The Chinese they've just got the machinery, they've got the bamboo, they really understand how to do it and how to make an efficient business out of it. And it's been difficult for anyone else, whether they're in Colombia or South Africa or Indonesia, to compete with that. But as interest grows in bamboo, I think there's more opportunities to compete. And a lot of that is because of the shipping crisis going on recently. People don't want to ship things halfway around the world. If you're buying bamboo for the environmental advantages of it, and it goes on a boat and sails around the world, a lot of those environmental advantages are just really lost. And at the same time, the political factors with China, lots of companies are trying to figure out how to not buy things from China, either for political, personal reasons, like they just oppose the Chinese system, government, or even anticipating some kind of sanctions against China that could happen in the next few years, the way that we've been sanctioning against Russia. Some people are anticipating something like that could happen with China, and so there's a real interest in sourcing away from China. And so with bamboo, that opens up a great opportunity for the rest of the world, in places like Africa, South America. to really step up their game with bamboo. But yeah, it's always going to be hard to compete with Chinese bamboo, just because their technology and they have such a huge head start over the rest of us, the rest of the world. That's my 2 cents on it. If you guys want to add anything.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah, totally agree with Fred about the Chinese product. With 5 million hectares of or maybe more of bamboo, it's almost yeah, it's almost impossible to compete. But there's always something that we have to offer. We have to find the product that they don't sell, mainly where people are buying from South America, at least, or what they want from the Americas is poles, no, from species like guadua, which is the steel, no, the vegetal steel. However, the problem with us is, I'm talking as like a South American, is the volumes. We don't reach the volumes that the market wants. Normally, they find enterprises that sell their products, and okay, I want 2 shippings of full containers with bamboo in the next 6 months. And I mean, for enterprises, for smaller enterprises, because most of the enterprises, except in Ecuador, they have maybe one enterprise that is quite big. They don't reach these goals of volumes, no. And the second one is most of the time the markets are quite strict, especially the European market. I don't know if with wood, maybe with bamboo it's now changing, but some enterprises have now to become part of some seals or quality, or like FSC, for example, which actually are quite quite high, quite elevated. So they have to come together as farmers or as producers to be able, no, to fit these costs and be part of this equality. It's called seal, or called as a steward. The FSC is a it's a
Certification.
Certification.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm literally translated from the Spanish. It's a certification, exactly. Yeah. So this is one challenge that also they have to cope with.
Super. Thank you so much, Natalia, for flagging these 2. Shruti, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so I don't come from the experience of market, more as an educator and doing projects and that, but this bit of it from my end is that as far as India is concerned, we've taken a lot of our resources for granted. And we have resources not just in terms of material, but also in terms of having, we've had the knowledge and the skill to use these materials. So, and that completely became a craft sector, which did not come into the mainstream. And therefore, it just remained to be in objects and a very little in the building industry. I think currently a few changes that have come. We now have a bamboo mission, which comes directly under the Prime Minister's office. So where we think that it's been taken up a little seriously. And just a few days ago, Bangalore, which is a big metro city of India, the airport, the largest airport, got done out of bamboo, was completely made out of bamboo. And for us, I think it's one big initiative taken, because unless something of that scale doesn't happen, we had to remove bamboo out of that temporary sector, the poor men's sector, the sector, and bring it onto the building sector. And I think since this is done, a lot of them would attempt to experiment with this particular material. I generally think that the kind of resource, it's only when you see it depleting elsewhere, you realize that you've really taken a lot of our resources for granted, and we have abundance of that and a possibility to grow. But like you just said, both Fred and Natalia, that you can't match up with the speed with which kind of China operates, both as business strategy, production strategy, understanding the market, that strategy, and all that bit of it. So I think we need to up our game in many ways from India. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for sharing your super insightful thoughts on this. Definitely, we're gonna do a little stock take in the end of the session, so very interesting points that come together. We have a question from Aman Sakari. Aman, would you like to unmute yourself and take the chance and ask your question?
Yes, thank you, Yana. Hi, everyone. I had one question. Since we were talking about Chinese products dominating the market, the global market, I wanted to know what bamboo species could actually replace Moso bamboo, which from my research I know that is very widely used in the EU markets when it comes to fencing, when it comes to ceilings, floorings, a lot of other things. So if anyone here could just enlighten me with what are the potential replacement species when it comes to Moso bamboo, because I know for a fact that we cannot grow Moso bamboo here in India, and I have had a lot of conversations with many people who are a lot more educated than me in bamboo sector. So if anyone could just enlighten me with what are the species that we could go when it comes to making bamboo flooring, bamboo ceiling, and things like that. Thank you.
I can talk about that. So Moso bamboo is generally considered to be like the most important, best bamboo you could possibly use. And that's mostly because it's a great species of bamboo. It's the species that grows very well, very widely throughout China. And so the Chinese use Moso. And because of the Chinese economy, like we talked about, all those Chinese products are made with Moso bamboo. But there are other species that are equally good, if not better, that grow in other parts of the world. And in South America, where Natalia is from, as she mentioned, Guadua angustifolia is super important. It's the most important species in the Western Hemisphere. It grows throughout South America and Colombia and Ecuador in particular. It's really big, really straight, really strong. They call it vegetable steel, as she said. And it's an excellent species there. In the other parts of the world, I think Dendrocalamus asper is considered the best. It grows very well in the tropics. It's from Southeast Asia. It's cultivated throughout Africa, Asia, even in South America, where the Guadua grows naturally. They also cultivate asper because of the size and the strength and the growth rate of it. So I would say those are the two most important species. But there are so many different species of bamboo, and there's so much room to learn more about which species are the best for which products and in which climates. There's really a lot to learn. But at this time, the emphasis for farming is really focused on asper. I think all the farmers want to grow asper because it's so big and strong and great for building material. But there's a number of other species of bambusa and species of Dendrocalamus that are also very useful. I could send you some links or something if you want to talk about it afterwards, but it's hard to just list lots of Latin names of bamboo species right here. But those are the two most important for sure, Guadua angustifolia, and Dendrocalamus asper. If Natalia wants to add anything to that, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, totally. I agree with Fred. It was a very nice answer of the question. Yes, mainly those species, but you have to be, if you want to grow bamboo, you have to, first of all, like see where do you live. I mean, where do you want to plant bamboo? Which altitude do you have? How's the rain? How much rain do you get in the year, throughout the year, the temperature? Because, for example, Dendrocalamus is wonderful and it gets like 15 centimeters of the diameter and a 2-centimeter wall, which is great to make, for example, splits, no? But it doesn't stand cold weathers. It grows, it really likes tropical climates. Here in Europe, they're starting to plant moso in the south of Europe because moso can stand cold weathers and even some frozen weathers. But Wadwa also likes tropical weathers, but it likes a little bit more high altitude. So each bamboo has different uses. And for example, Wadwa is very good for construction. However, it's not very good for edible shoots. No, the shoots from Wadwa are bitter, are not recommendable. I tried them, they're awful. However, Dendrocalamus are great for construction, great to make furniture, and great, they have delicious edible shoots. So there's like a matrix of things that you have to take into consideration in order to decide which species you want to have for planting.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Shruti, would you like to still add something? Then we have like a few more minutes left. So we have there a question from Paulino. So maybe we can, yeah, I see Fred is already responding. Okay. Please, you can go ahead, Shruti. Sorry for this.
Natalia and Fred just shared, so I think that's perfectly fine. We could go ahead.
Hopefully, Paulino, that helps you a little bit with if there are any concrete tips on the application for floors, which type of bamboo would be most suitable, then of course, we more than welcome that. Natalia, would you still?
In my suggestion, if you are in the mountain area, instead of a valley or down the line, I would recommend to go for a running bamboo instead of clumping, because which will covers and more area and the growth rate will be high compared to clumping one. So running bamboo, if you are living in a hill station or near to hill station which has a high flood area, I would recommend to go for a running bamboo instead of clumping bamboo. Anyway, that's my suggestion.
Super, and what do you do with bamboo? I mean, how do you operate? What kind of projects do you work with? Maybe you can share with us.
Myself, the founder of My Panda Woods Private Limited. We are in South India, so it's a tropical area. Basically, we located near to river side of our 10 acres of land, which more like a rock, soft rock kind of area. So what we are doing, we are cultivating as a fruit forest. So it's a 60% of bamboo, and along with that, we are building a fruit forest because here the attention towards bamboo is very less in South India. So they are not there. Most of us, they don't know the value of the bamboo. So just I'm educating all the farmers to grow up the bamboo as a fencing material, so that they can use a natural fencing. So we are promoting the bamboo to all farmers to cultivate bamboo as a fencing material. So people have less, idea how bamboo helps in a way. So here from the history long back, most of them are growing thorn bamboo. They never see the unthorn bamboo. So that's the reason, we are promoting here. You are on more.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My little brother is also with me here. So great. And also thanks a lot, Ram, for introducing, what your company is doing. If there would be any recommendation, Dr. Rohan Chabra is asking about, construction material for a greenhouse with bamboo. There would be any particular recommendation for the material or for the type of bamboo that should be used, we are more than welcome to share this. And as we have like 5 more minutes to go, I would just do a little stock take. Also, we heard a lot about bamboo being the timber of poor, basically having a little bit of a challenge with the reputation right now on the market. So we have a long way to go in terms of utilizing the material and the potential that it has. What would be the tips that you would give Fred, Shruti, and Natalia on working with bamboo for companies that would like to use it in the future or export?
Well, I will start. About companies, first of all, it's very important that they know exactly which product they want to have, because as I said before, there are more than 2,000 products that you can get from bamboo, and the management and all the posterior steps that you have to take into account, into consideration, depends on the product that you are going to get from this plantation. No, this is important to the first step that you have to have in mind. The which bamboo and which product you want to get, and of course, like studying your market and have a business plan. That's the first thing. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing is, to know what you want to make with the bamboo, because there are so many things you can make. A lot of people do it the other way around. Bamboo's great, let's plant a lot of bamboo. And then 5 years later, like, what should we make with the bamboo? And that's not the right way to do it. So figure out what you want to make, and then consider the climate and the end product that you want to make, and then pick the best species for that. And then do the market research, make sure that's the right product. Or if you want to modify the product to differentiate it in the market, so you're not just competing with 100 different companies from China who already do that product, or find something that you can sell locally that you don't have to ship to Europe or to America, where you can make it and sell it in your own country and save all the shipping. And that's how you compete with Chinese products, is by selling it right there where there's no shipping costs. Those are my tips, very briefly.
Thank you so much, Fred. Shruti, would you like to maybe share for people that build with bamboo or would utilize, or you mentioned some techniques, craft that is connected to that, and also wise management of resources. What is your tip for people that would like to build or develop new structures with bamboo?
So in a quick sentence, I would probably say that we cannot afford to make the mistakes we've done with any other material. So whether it was iron ores or anything, like Fred just said, that it's important to be local. So even if bamboo had to be, bamboo is something that we're using it, but we may require some kind of policy, because you might end up with the same mistakes where you use a lot of other chemical resins in making boards and making some other products, and where the the whole natural material is almost negligible. So I think now that we are at a stage across the planet where our discussions have to be weighing the pros and cons of the situation, I think it would be important to be really local in terms of everything. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. So that was just excellent with the timing. Thank you so much, Shruti, also for highlighting this in the end in terms of sustainability. I believe that's one of the key elements. So with this, I would just thank you so much for the time today. There will be a replay available on the YouTube channel that we operate, and also some more posts on social media regarding outcomes and some learnings from this, so you can leverage that. Definitely, we will have also a follow-up session on materials in that perspective. And yeah, with this, thank you so much again, and I wish you a very good rest of the evening. Bye-bye.